What's it called?
It's called
Taylor's
Untold Crime and Penalties.
This is the story of an actual mob boss.
Oh, I know this. Yeah.
Okay, he bought his 17-year-old son a minor league hockey team, and you might think, oh, so the kid owns a hockey team, but what does that even mean? No, he's like the general manager and the president. So he picks the players, he runs the fucking show. And he picked, like, he's 17 and he likes WWE. At his birthday party when he was 12 or 13, The Rock was there.
He was. There's footage of it.
Yeah. Did you see they had a WWE night at one point during their season, and John Cena showed up to like hold his belt.
John Cena showed up. This is a show where they split time between the mob and the FBI, and then intermixed is like John Cena, Triple H, The Rock, Wayne Gretzky's
Brent Gretzky
little brother, and like all these other people palling around with the mob, and it's like, okay, I'd love to hear The Rock tell this story. Like I'd love to hear his end.
You're liking it a lot so far, right?
I'm digging it quite a bit.
It's so funny.
I like how violent they are. I like how like just hard fucking core they are. I like how they pay them with like envelopes and bags of money.
And the players knew, right? The players are like, yeah, I got a check from the hockey team, and then another one from like a waste management company, and another one from help me out, Taylor. What were the other checks?
Oh, it was like a cleaning service, waste management, like a bunch of like bullshit, like. And it was like not just the players on these payrolls, their wives were getting checks for it. They're like, if they had an adult child, they also worked there. It was just money laundering through a minor league team. And like to the fighting point, I've never seen so much blood on the ice as the fights that they did.
Well, I mean, like to your point, like it was like opening game, or like they're about to drop the puck for the first time of the year, and the fucking mob boss calls down and tells like one of their new players, as soon as they drop that fucking puck, you drop your glove, you take that guy the fuck out. And he's like, so what? Of course, you know, I was just looking for I was just looking for a motherfucker.
He had just given me a duffel bag of cash, and so I decided to do everything he says.
Yeah. So he just beats the shit out of some I guess somehow he got the guy to tell him to go fuck himself, and he's like, and then it was on. And they got video of all this shit, and he beats the fuck out of this man in front of everybody. And then as he's like skating off the ice, he like points up to the mob boss, like, "Yeah, I got him for you, boss."
It's hilarious. And like even the GM / president, like the son of the guy, like so much of the documentary is just because he was walking around with a camcorder like the entire time. And like there was one guy on an opposing team who pulled a real dirty bullshit move that broke the leg of one of the Danford Trashers. And this other player came back in town, and like in what is like very uncouth, the guy's sitting at his bench, like dreading playing this game because this guy's not an enforcer. He doesn't even want to be there. He's playing minor league for a real team. And the president, the GM is taking a camera right to that crack between the glass, and he's going, "You got a real pretty face. It's going to be a shame. It's going to be a shame. Come on, give me a smile. Give me a smile with that pretty face. Come on." And that guy's sitting there horrified, knowing that the second he steps on the ice, the Nigerian Nightmare is going to beat him to death.
The Nigerian Nightmare
that guy's awesome. So funny.
Like the 17-year-old mob boss's son is like, "Yeah, so I got all these tapes from talent, and I saw this one, and it said the Nigerian Nightmare, and that caught my attention. So I was like, I'm going to watch this one first." And then it cuts this guy. "I was the first Nigerian to ever play in the NHL. My parents didn't want to let me play. My mom tried to get me into figure skating. This was my calling." And then there's this one moment where like he's talking about like after they cheap shot the guy, and he's like, "So then I went in and I did what I did." And
it's great.
Like, I've never seen anybody beat up multiple opponents in a hockey.
Oh yeah, he like very.
I didn't know that was an option
to beat someone up and then skate to the next closest guy and beat them up. But like the Nigerian Nightmare as a human, clearly he clearly matured a lot throughout like the time since then, and so he's like almost like looking somber, like And then I just, you can watch the footage. I did what I did.
I did what I did. You know what?
Sometimes
My
those
actions
things
speak
happen.
for themselves. I'd rather not address it. You could just roll the tape. I know you're going to.
The fact that
you're
they
the
were
one
the
who grabbed
camcorder,
the
let me
coach
go
by
for
the
a second.
fucking tie.
You talked about the camcorder thing, and that's great because the pretty face guy, he's coming back, and everyone knows he's going to have to face the music for hurting this player. I'll call it a few months earlier, and everybody knows, including the broadcasting crew. So as soon as the fight begins, it cuts off. It says technical difficulties, and it plays some elevator music, and they're like, yeah, the broadcast crew cut it. So the only people that know what happened are the people that were there. And the people that saw my personal camcorder footage of the fight. And I'm like, oh, you gotta. Oh, you gotta. And then bang comes on. Just wrecking the guy. And I'm like, you got the footage and you're showing it to me.
It's so like I don't know if you guys have ever been to a minor league hockey game. I went to a few ECHL games, which is a minor league below this one.
I went to AHL.
Yeah, I lived in Boise. Yeah, what's up?
I just want to say, like, this is a big deal. This hockey team, like it's NHL, and then this is like 4 steps below. I thought that's what it was when you initially described it. I thought this was like beer league type.
Yeah,
thing.
some
Like,
bullshit team.
This is like minor league hockey. It is an embarrassment to the game, to the commissioner of the league or whatever point. And he's like, I told him, if you embarrass me or the team or the league or hockey at all in general, I'm going to come down on you. And it's like, and then, they just embarrassed me for like a year or 2 straight. And I didn't really do anything about it because,
Oh, one of the best or funniest parts is like
the equipment manager.
The equipment manager is the most
T-Bone,
the most mobbed up dude in the league. T-Bone's his name, and he genuinely would go into other teams' locker rooms.
Let me jump on you. Yeah. They go to the commissioner, and they're like, the equipment manager. Never in the history of the league, or any league, or the history of hockey, have we had to suspend an equipment manager before. They fined and suspended the equipment manager because
he would go into opposing teams' locker rooms prior to the game starting, and he would steal the goalie equipment. And so then the goalie would be like, I don't know where my stuff is. It was here. And they'd be like, well, we have a loaner set of horrible pads that you can wear. And he did that multiple times. He's being interviewed about it. They're like, do you know anything about, goalies having their equipment stolen? He's like taking a puff on a cigar, like, that'd be really unprofessional, wouldn't it? That'd be wildly inappropriate.
So the other team has, 30 players on it. How many people are on a hockey team? 25 players?
Yeah, 24. So yeah.
And they gave them 6 paper thin towels for 24 players to share.
And then this is the most spiteful part.
And he's like, that sounds bad. We don't have endless towels.
That doesn't sound up to code, right?
That's got to be wrong. Somebody miscounted. Like those first 2 things, it's like, that might make it difficult to win a hockey game.
Yeah.
The last thing he did was just spite. He would turn off the hot water. This is the shower they're taking before they go home. The game is done. This is spite. It's like letting the air out of their tires in the parking lot. It has no effect on the goddamn game.
It's very uncouth to put threatening messages in visiting teams' walls and stuff. I think at one point, like, he or someone else wrote like "Welcome to Hell" as on like the banner of the opposing team's locker room. And what I liked is that they weren't just a bunch of bruisers. Like, the kid as a GM did a tremendous job. The team was winning. They were winning more games than they were losing.
It is important to note the salary cap affected every team but this guy.
Yes.
He had unlimited money to put together his all-star team. There was an NHL lockout. So they're like, we need a goal scorer. And I remembered, I really like this guy who scored the game-winning goal for the NHL Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah.
So we got him, and they just paid him with duffel bags of money.
Yeah, they did. It was a guy like it showed,
and he's there. I love it. That's what I love in documentaries and shit like this. because it's one thing to say, and then Donald Trump walked in. If they cut then and Donald Trump is there on tape, you're like, oh shit, let's hear his.
So then I walked in.
Yeah,
they
do that with this. They're like, so and they show this guy's fucking hockey card. You know, it's like
what's
this.
the name of it
again?
again?
And then they show like ABC footage of the
Mike
NHL
Rupp.
finals and this guy winning the cup. And then they just cut to him sitting in a chair as part of this whole documentary. And he's like, I mean, they offered me so much goddamn money.
and then they show like the guy's name is Mike Rupp. He scored, I think, like the 2003 Stanley Cup winning goal for the Devils. And the guy was like, I liked Mike Rupp. I remember being a Devils fan. And so I thought, let's sign Mike Rupp. And a guy who's career NHLer. And they signed this guy, and he's a center. In his NHL career, he only had 99 points in 610 games. That's a fourth line guy, not that impressive, you know, a grinder probably. Then it shows highlights of a true blue NHLer in this league, and he's dangling like he looks like a fucking all-star, and it's so unfair to like the fucking Manchester Monarchs or whatever the fuck other team where they're like, we couldn't afford to give Mike Rupp duffel bags of cash, and he's scoring 3 on us in a game.
If I were a viewer, I'd want the name of the show in the scroll. What was it again?
It is Untold Crime and Penalties. The name of the series is
If you
Untold.
go on Netflix and you literally just search hockey, it's the first result.
It's a really entertaining. It's like an hour and a half.
I'm not done with it. Yeah, I'm not done with it. I'm I think like one of the last things that I saw was the part where they have broken the man's leg and found out where the player lives and where his family works and shit. And they have asked the man whose leg is broken, like, hey, how do you want us to handle this? Like they're asking if they want them to like go after this player in the real world and get him and hurt him somehow. It's crazy.
Ooh, I love that. Yeah, we didn't tell this. They're like, hey, you know, we got his home address. You need anything done? You tell us how you want to handle this. And it's just like, whoa, wait. I understand this code.
Yeah.
He's offering to murder another player.
Yeah. And then it goes to the guy, and he says to the camera, and like whatever the bad guy's name is who had injured him, he's like, "You better be glad I kept it on the ice, you bitch." It's just like, yeah, you better, because like Tony Soprano was sending some boys to your house to fucking knock you off. That's the other thing. This guy's this is
literally Tony Soprano.
Oh
yeah.
And then I've told Kyle this, but for the audience, the ending, which I won't spoil, I'll only say they do a real nice job of sort of putting a button on it. You know, there's a period at the end of the sentence. You find out how this happens. I'll even do this. They do a like a current sort of get the gang together and talk sort of party.
Yeah, I recommend it. I think we all do. Real good show. You don't need to like hockey at all to enjoy it, because I don't. But I really like this. I like the mob, and I like ridiculous fucking stories. Like this was a bit of a national news story as far as sports stories go, because someone gave a 17-year-old a fucking minor league sports team. It was insane.
I want credit. If you guys like this, viewers, this one was Woody's find.
It was. I would never have found this if not for you, and I absolutely loved it. It was one of the best long things I've seen.
No, just like Woody had history rewritten on Taylor earlier. This is a Kyle find.
No, let's give this one to Harley.
Okay, but I get credit. I get credit if you
Canadian.
like Succession, Woody.
You get credit for Succession.
For Succession, I wrote it down. I'm interested.
I'm pretty sure Zach told us about
It's on
Succession.
Plex.
Zach
didn't tell you shit.
That's a Zach show.
That is
the GM president, like 17-year-old kid. Like he seems like a bit of a shithead through a lot of it because he's 17. The Spit and Chicklets, my favorite podcast, it's a hockey show with a couple of ex-NHLers and another guy. They had this guy on a few days ago, and I listened to the whole episode, and he's like genuinely the most humble, kindest guy now, where they're like, were there any concerns about you like looking like an asshole for being a kid? He's like, I was a kid. You know, kids do all sorts of silly things. I watch it too and cringe a little bit, but it was a great time in my life. I had a wonderful time doing it. I wish it lasted long. And it's like, you can't dislike this guy at all. And he kept like referring to stories. They're like, what about like all the money under the table? He's like, a lot of things were alleged They alleged that we bought houses for all of them on a communal property that was intentionally made to keep people from being requisitioned by authorities. Who's to say? Who's to say what happened? And then it's a hilarious interview.
I'll tell you who's not to say.
Yeah, I'll tell you
not
all the
to
names.
ever say anything.
Oh,
again.
we didn't talk about this on this show, but so they go around. He's in like second grade. This is AJ, the guy who eventually becomes president and GM. And they're talking about like value systems and stuff, things they learned over the summer. And some kids are like, I learned to be nice. I learned not to bully other people. And he's like, me, I learned never be a rat.
Yeah.
Rat's the lowest thing you can be.
Never turn on the channel.
That's how you
betraying
do.
your friends, betraying your family, being a rat. And it's like, you're 9. You shouldn't be ratting on anyone because you shouldn't know anything to rat on.
Nines rat all the time. They're not trustworthy. Not this one though.
Yeah,
Nope,
yeah,
he had it down.
I hated those kids.